bitches.
So, welcome to Cineverm Episode 3. This week, we watch 8th Grade, a film by Bo Burnham.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Anthony.
Chicken lump.
Excalibur.
Yes, we have a new dude in our group. Excalibur, aka Dragon Fruit.
He's in our Bumblebee video.
Yeah, that'll be coming out later this week. Those are actually backdraft videos, so. But let's start with Jack, because we all know Jack didn't like this movie.
What the fuck? Dude, I actually enjoyed this movie.
Alright. Jack, since you're new, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What's your favorite color?
Green.
No.
Whoa.
Purple.
No.
About to say you're a super villain if you like purple.
I like purple.
What do I say? Just
tell us your birth date, your social security number,
Your address.
credit card
information, the 3 numbers on the back, the expiration date.
What's your address, the CCV number,
your P.O. box so we can send you a bomb.
What did you think about this film?
I actually really liked it. I liked all the little things that have to do with nowadays in school, because I noticed that a lot of the things that happen in the movie actually happen in middle school, and they continue on to high school.
Yeah.
Like, there's always all those girls who are always on their phone, just walking around, just being dicks to everyone. Like all the people they don't really know.
Yes.
Wait, am I allowed to come?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Cool. Fuck it. Yeah, and then no one says LeBron James anymore, but
You're gonna bring it back.
yeah, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm walking to school, LeBron James, but no one really dabs besides a couple people, me included, because I just do it to like fuck with people and I look stupid doing it, so I do it. And oh no, I really liked it. I liked the soundtrack was like the number one thing.
Oh my god.
For me, like, it's y'all go to Spotify. Fuck this podcast. Go listen to no, just finish the podcast and then go listen to the
Soundtrack.
The soundtrack
By Anna Meredith.
Yeah.
She has other music that is also equally amazing as well.
Dope.
What else? What else did you notice?
Was there anything you didn't like?
What I didn't like?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of cringy ass fucking like things.
Like what? Oh, the dab.
All right, guys. Just the teacher just walks in, Hitler side dabs, and I mean it was just a little bit cringy. It was just cringy, but I mean it's not. Oh my god, I don't know. There really wasn't anything I really didn't like other than my back hurting the whole fucking time.
Oh,
but I enjoyed everything about that movie.
that's dope. What did you think about it?
Well, this is my second time watching this movie.
Mm-hmm.
All my close friends know how I feel about this film. I have a review on romuco.com. So, what is it? What is the word called? Plug. Shout out.
Damn. Facts.
But
that's how we do it. Professionally. Plug yourself in.
I have a lot to say, so I might take the whole hour. So if I'm gonna start, I'm gonna start.
So start.
Diss
goddamn.
track 2018.
It's like,
here we are, boys.
Are you gonna start or
Burnham
are you not
Squad.
gonna start?
it's like I'm gonna start at the beginning
Alright.
of my life.
Let me start.
Wow.
Let me
start from day one.
One day, a man and a woman.
All right.
What, dude?
So,
Too much.
man, you go first. I'm still collecting my thoughts.
I thought you said you already wrote a review on it.
Well, it's hard to
Yeah,
pay
dude.
attention with these
Just pull up
cats
your review.
running around on the car.
Let's go,
Boy.
Che.
Okay.
Actually, let me start.
Bro,
No, I'm
I'm
already-
back. I'm back. Alright,
Welcome to Cineverm,
This is
where we go hella off track.
That's the spoiler discussion. Thank you for listening. Hope
Hell
you
yeah.
enjoyed.
Like, subscribe.
I just have to say
Oh, wait,
that
this is
this is
Spotify,
also my second time watching this film, and I noticed a lot of the background details that make this movie more real
Yeah.
and make it more as if it's not staged. For example, the way they shoot the whole school scenes in the cafeteria, everything looks normal and fluid, as if people were actually there on a daily basis, you know, like it wasn't fake. And just the swimming pool party scenes, like the way it was shot, made me feel like I was literally there this second time around. The first time I didn't really feel it, but this time I really felt it. Like how she saw people just doing super extraordinary things. They look nice except for her. They could swim better than her except for her. Like, just people look so glorious. And I would have to say that my favorite part is when she's looking at the guy who supposedly won Best Eyes, and then he looks up and the music changes to like a strong beat, like like that.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that completely, and when I saw it, it made the same feeling as the first time around, because I did forget about it.
Did y'all notice that when he was like looking up, his eyes were like hella blue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was like insanely blue. I was like, is that like, is she like just adding that to him to like make him look legit, or are those actually his eyes? Because those are just straight blue. There's no fade, no nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I noticed that and I was like, what the hell?
Like,
that was probably in like the color grading. Like when you shoot a film, you try to shoot it like kind of bland so you can capture all the colors, and then you can heighten what you want. So if they did manipulate it, it would have been there. And
it actually looked like they were his eyes.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. It could also just be his eyes.
Like,
I mean, if you're casting the best eyes,
my boy,
you're gonna find an actor.
That award.
Yeah. What was so stupid?
What?
To me, was like, this is the one thing that was like the stupidest thing for the whole movie. Like her being all nervous and stuff, I get that. But no, the fuck what I just said about her.
Okay.
It goes back to that one guy.
Which one?
The
Gabe?
dude. Yeah, whatever his name is, when he's like,
with the chicken nuggets?
No, not that guy.
The guy with
with the eyes, the one who won Best Eyes. Yeah, that guy. And she's like scrolling through Instagram, and she goes to like his profile page, and there's that one video of him just flexing in front of the mirror. Like, that was so stupid. Like, what the?
You could see his little baby muscles.
Like, you can just see like a little. It's like, what?
Bro, that's me every morning on Instagram.
My boy Dylan got more freaking muscle than him, bro.
Dylan's like, what, 11?
Dylan's 11, he's 15, 6. No, wait, never mind.
That guy was so thin.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes were in the movie.
Well, everyone but her was thin. Like, everyone in the pool.
Well,
like,
she was... I mean, super thin.
Yeah, everyone at the pool party was, like, stupid thin.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like they made that a point as well, to kind of reflect what these popular kids look like, you know?
I liked her swimming attire.
Her swimsuit?
Yeah, I mean, it was green.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick it for myself, but it fit the moment.
Oh, yeah. I felt like it really highlighted her figure more than any other suit would, because it had, like, the X's on her back. And unfortunately for her, it was too tight or something, so her, like, fat was, like, rolling over it.
I definitely noticed that.
I noticed that.
But obviously, I feel like that was on purpose to highlight the difference between her, and then it cuts to a shot of some girl with like no stomach, bending backwards.
Yeah.
You could see her rib cage.
Yeah.
What? This
It-
chest
you notice
term, but I'm
how
just
you
adding
s-
all my shit.
You notice when she went into that family's house, she immediately was like, "Whoa, their house is huge."
Oh yeah.
She was just looking around like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
And then that dad's response, he was bringing out a cake or whatever, and they were like, "No, it's not time yet." He's like, "I picked this up at 8 a.m. in the morning. You're gonna eat it right now."
Yeah.
He said something angry like that. I don't know. That's
I
one of the
woke up
things
to
that I
pick
missed
this
the
up
first
at
time.
8 a.m. in the damn morning.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna eat it now or some shit
Yeah.
like that. I just remember damn being because that made me laugh.
Yeah.
I was like, it's your kid's birthday and you're gonna pull up like eat the fucking cake, man. I woke up at 4
It's
to
about
order
me.
this. It was my birthday last week, but damn, go check.
I mean, I think that's it.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, back to me. Here we go.
Stop introducing.
Burnham
it.
Squad 2019.
Just say what
Ripped
you
shoulders,
say.
6'9".
I just don't want to sound dumb, man. All right, so
You won't.
This is why
The
we can't review a movie we've already seen.
well, no, I'm just trying to like, I don't know, just trying to calculating what I'm gonna say.
I have to point out something else, that when Gabe came out of the water after the second handstand, his hair made a little curl up, and
Yeah.
it looked like a pompadour. That killed me this time.
Well,
I didn't notice it the first time.
What made me laugh was he's like, "Yo, you want to have like a underwater breathing contest?" She's like, "Yeah, okay." She goes down. They both go down. She comes back up like 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
He's still like just holding his breath underwater. He comes up already knowing he won. He's like, "I won." But the trick is, it's like, I mean that was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but that made me.
Yeah, the whole kid's personality was perfect.
It was cool. It reminds me of, I have friends like that, and they're
Yes.
like hella cool. They're just like all super funny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It reminded me like, dang, that's the dude I would hang out with.
Oh,
Not freaking the dude flexing in the fucking mirror. Like, I wouldn't. Nah.
What do you guys? What did you guys feel whenever Kayla decided to say, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. You don't even know. I can't even say because it's so embarrassing." He's like, "What?" And
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like,
that was-
"Oh, I just pulled out my dirty pics," and he immediately goes, like
Really?
a fucking yeah, like really. And then he's like, "What are you doing?" And then
He's like, what
whatever.
kind of pictures?
Yeah, the rest of the scene. Like, what did you guys feel when you saw that scene?
Well, I felt like it defines both of them. I mean, it defines that dude as a pervy, like, he's basically like a fuck boy. You know, he's like, "Oh, now you have my attention." And his first question after she's like, "Yeah," was like, "Oh, so you give good blowjobs?" You know? And then it also reflects a lot on her character, like how far she was willing to go because she wants to be kind of accepted or whatever, and she also just has a intense crush on this dude.
Yes.
So as soon as she had information that, oh, he likes nudes, even though she probably wouldn't have gone through with it, the desire was so strong that she had to go, like, instigate, like kind of initiate that situation.
Have you ever done that in your life? Like, you found that the person you had a crush on or whatever liked something, and you went to the max with that one thing, even though you might have not liked it in the moment
No.
or previously?
No.
No.
Something like that or anything?
Anything.
I don't know.
Anything.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I think it would kind of be like, don't act like this. I guess kind of, because I'm usually just like hella quiet at school because I don't really fucking talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I guess like friends, they'll be like, "Yo, dude, like, the fuck you doing, man? Let's go do something or something like that." But that's about it. Not like in a relationship type shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, then that would be a better question if you hang out with a group or with a certain person that you want to be accepted by in general.
Do something
and then you change something that you do. I think for me it would be like, not me personally, but I always saw how the kids that I hung out with had a lot of kids that would want to hang out with them, but they're really big jerks or whatever. I don't even know how I got accepted in that group, but they would slowly make people do what they want them to do just because they could tell that they wanted to be friends with them. And it wasn't even like a girl trying to get with a guy or whatever. It was like a guy, usually an awkward guy trying to get into the boys group or whatever. And they would do drugs, they would smoke, they would drink. And then later on, I would like talk to them, be like, yo, what's up, man? And then he's like, hey, what's up? And then he or she would probably end up telling me like, do you even like doing stuff? And I would answer, no, I don't do any of that shit. And they would answer, then and they would just stop and think, why the hell am I doing this? And usually the next day or a couple days later, I wouldn't see them around that group anymore. But I saw it so often during high school. Yeah, it was the moment when I started hanging out with more people and when I saw it the most. But I didn't know those type of things. At least, never mind. I didn't think it happened during middle school. Yeah. But yet again, I didn't hang out with a lot of people in middle school. It mostly happened during high school for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of middle school kids that I knew of that would like smoke and shit. Yeah. And there's always like this weird thing, like I've felt a lot of times there's like this rowdy group, and for some reason they like to grab shy people like myself or quiet people and then involve them in the group because it makes them feel like more powerful or something, and then they do like chaotic shit or whatever. But like I always notice it because I'd always be invited to like smoke or like drink, like, hey man, you wanna go get fucked up? And I'm like, no. Yeah. You wanna go to a fire? But
usually it's the kids that you can just tell them like, hey, it's your choice to smoke right now or not. And they're like, whoa, it's my choice? Man, you guys are the best. You actually care about my opinion. And then they end up smoking. And then it's really just another form of peer pressure.
Yeah. I've seen that. Like exactly what you just said.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I've seen it too a lot of times.
Yeah, we were at the park. This was like recent, like maybe like 2 months ago.
Yeah, give us names.
Well, one of my friends, he had never done anything, nothing. We were just at the park, and this one group of guys that's always hanging out there. Yeah. We were just like hanging out because it was just me and him, just chilling. Yeah. I was gonna pull up to y'all's house, so I was just just chilling. And waiting until it hit 4, because I was like, I'm gonna chill out here for a bit, just relax for a little bit. So he's like, you know what, dude, I'm having all these problems. And I'm like, damn, dude, well, shit, I don't really know what to do, dude. And I don't know. He started talking to like this one guy, and I was like, yeah, dude, I have weed. And then so Alex is like, yeah, man, like just fuck it. Like he was like up for anything. So he ended up doing it, and I ended up staying there for like another hour because like he actually did a lot for his first time. So I just sat there like, yo, Alex, dude, you're crazy, man. Yeah. And I just waited until he was cool, and then I came over here because I wasn't just gonna leave him. Yes. There, and then just have him like be all crazy and shit, and just leave him there. So I was like, I'm gonna wait until like he's cool, and I know he's cool, and then I'll come over to y'all's crib. Yeah. But the thing is, when he was about to do it, they were all like, yo, dude, you know, you don't have to do it, but, you know, it's gonna help you out, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think you should do it. And now I just sat there.
Yeah.
It's not about me, bro. It's about you.
Yeah, like, that's how they get you. I've seen it so many times. It's literally that phrase. It's not about me, it's about you. I just want to help you. Like, basically, that conversation that Kayla had with that guy who was taking his shirt off, he was manipulating her in that way. Like, it's not about me, you know, getting off. It's about you learning your first steps. And
I was trying to help you.
Yes.
Yeah. That is still, even the second time having watched it, still one of the most, like, tense scenes of the year, or of 2018. And it's so crazy because, like, I knew everything was going to happen, but this time the first time it was just a visceral feeling of, like, what the fuck? And then, like, you wanting it to kind of end, but then it keeps going. But this time I realized how the use of time was the thing that built that. You know, there was, like, barely any cuts. You know, like, or when it did cut, it would stay on a shot for multiple seconds after they were done talking.
Yeah.
So you're just watching this fucking creep, you know, just like, you know, like he's trying to act like a 8th grader to, like, be inviting to her and trying to, like, do fake laughs and, like, talk all this fake shit. And he's trying so hard to, like, get in her head or whatever, and just using the extra 2 to 3 seconds after he finishes saying something and lingering on him really, like, cements the feeling of anxiety for her. And then for her as well, like, her responses to everything and her performance, like, she's still trying to be cool.
Yeah.
So she's, like, trying to walk a line of, like, I don't want him to hate me because he's friends with my new only friend now in the whole world, which is something that she's been fighting for, like, her entire life, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, she's like, I don't want to be touched by him.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really awesome because it almost, like, at the same time while she's performing, like, there's times where in his head you can see, like, oh, she's game, she's just being difficult or whatever. But then when it comes down to, like, he finally, like, taps her shoulder and she, like, fucking, like, no, and she, like, says it really loud. That's, I don't know, that was, like, a really perfect performance of, like, like, whereas he crossed the line and then she crossed her line that she was, or her boundaries that she was trying to stay in, to not, like, say no out loud or whatever. So that was amazing.
Definitely.
Both of their performance was great, and then the editing of it, and of course the use of, like, no music, just so you hear the, like, silence in the car, and then how the shots were, like, a little further away, like, it felt like you were in the front seat looking back.
Yes.
It never felt like you were really with them, you were just watching them.
Yes.
And I felt like how we set that shot up with having the camera behind the rear seats looking forward, and then you see him walk all around the car, taps the hood like he's all fucking cool and shit, and then gets in the car. You know, I don't know, just the composition of those two shots really, like, sets you in the geometry of the scene.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the lighting on him as well during that scene.
It looked dark.
Yeah, it was, like, really dark. And then as it progressed, an orange light kept coming on him. And first it felt like he was just, like, a dark, like, shadow. Like, you didn't really know what he was going to do.
Yeah.
But you knew it was darkness. And then as the scene progressed, I realized that there was an orange light getting brighter each time it cut back to him. Until the ending, where half of his right side of his face was just, like basked in orange light, but it almost looked like a demonic flame or something.
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that the cinematographer and the director, Bo Burnham, thought about the lighting in that kind of way is pretty amazing, because I didn't notice it the first time. But watching the second time, like, the effect it has is so brilliant, especially when he's, like, nodding his head and he's, like, smiling and trying to fucking laugh. He looks like an evil demon, basically.
Oh, yes. I don't know if you noticed, but whenever he was talking to everyone in the mall, his voice was so different.
Yeah.
Than when he decided to talk to Kayla by himself.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying, he was trying to make himself more appealing to her visually and just audibly,
Mm-hmm.
his voice changed to where he kind of wanted to sound like seductive or whatever.
Yeah.
But Kayla, she didn't like it at all. Like
Yeah.
you could tell from the very beginning that he was talking to her about herself.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, something is wrong. Like something has changed drastically.
Like
Yeah.
in the mall, like what you just said,
Mhm.
he was just like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, dude, cool. Or like
Mhm.
just listening, like don't bring me into like y'all's thing.
Mhm.
Then in the car, he's like,
Yeah.
like
all
gripping this,
confident.
yeah, like all dope, blasting some Lil Pump, some
Mhm.
shit like that, and just being all cool.
Yeah, I feel like that sets up an interesting dynamic of high school because I listened to a lot of interviews and read a lot of interviews with the director Bo Burnham, and like he's researched a lot about high schools and stuff because he hasn't been in high school for a while now. But while he was like asking a lot of school students questions and stuff like how dynamics work and stuff and just his own memory and experiences. But one thing was like he had that girl that becomes Kayla's best friend, right? And he casted Kayla and then he casted that girl as actress. He's like, oh, she's going to be the alpha of this group. Because in most high school groups, the dynamic changes. So if it's like me and you, it's we have our thing. And then when Jack comes, the whole thing changes. And like, it's not a good or bad thing. It's just, that's just how people are when there's someone who has a certain energy. These two people either reject it or they kind of match it. And when he found, I don't know the name of the actress, but the black girl that's with him as well, he found her and he's like, oh, well, she's too alpha. She won't fit in this group. And then he's like, oh, why am I trying to make her an alpha? So then he made that girl the alpha of the group. And he's like, oh, this is perfect. This is a reflection of Kayla in high school. Like she was so nervous during middle school that she evolved into this like very, what is it, like bubbly personality that just speaks but is also really thoughtful of other people. And then he casted the two guys also as opposites. So that guy who tries to like do stuff with Kayla, he thinks he's an alpha, but he's not. He's actually really shy. He's like an evil reflection of Kayla. And then the other dude who's really loud, just shit talking everything, he is also an alpha. So that's why you have the black girl and him constantly arguing because this dynamic doesn't work, but they still hang out with each other. And that kid, he, like, when he's alone with the girl, Kayla's best friend, and Kayla, he becomes the alpha.
Because he is technically more alpha than her.
Well, that, but it's also like a repression.
Okay.
You know, it's like, for me, when I hang out with someone who's, like, super hype or, like, has a different energy than me, I get more quiet. That's, like, why sometimes when y'all get really hype, I kind of turn down. Because I
disappear, bro.
Well, I can't match y'all's energy. And like I said, I try to input, but then I don't, like, they're not connecting.
Yes.
So then I'm like, well, I'm older now, so I don't really care. So it's not an emotional affection. But for that guy, I could feel watching this film again for the second time. I felt him almost like being angry that he's with this group. Because it seems like he was friends with the older Kayla's best friend and the other girl first. And now this guy is just in this group now. And he kind of hates it. And, like, even when he touches him, like, don't fucking touch me, man. Like, I don't want to be in that. I don't really think it was he didn't want to be in that group. It's just his hatred for this dude. So now when he's dropping these girls off, he's like, I'm fucking cool, you know? And he's trying to, like, get off from being kind of neglected in that group.
I can definitely feel that. I remember when I was in it was actually middle school. I had a really good friend and two good friends. And when it was just me with either one of them alone, our dynamic was so different. One guy was really funny, the other one was too. But when they were both together with me, it always seemed like one of the friends always felt like he couldn't really talk. Or if he was to talk, he had to be the funniest one. Otherwise, he wasn't going to say anything. And it became like a cycle to where it was something that we kind of expected from him, that he just had to be funny. When he wasn't, we kind of pushed him to the back, just like subconsciously. And eventually, this really hit me hard because I never knew I was doing it until he moved. Like the last day he was going to move, he was like, I kind of didn't even want to say bye to you guys because I didn't think you were gonna miss me since you guys never really listened to me, and didn't think that never thought that you guys thought of me as an important part of the group because either I had to be really funny or you guys wouldn't listen to me. And I was like, oh shit, like at that moment, that's a lot of things changed from that moment on with the way I listen to people and the way like communication works with big groups and stuff like that. But I could definitely see the dynamic you're expressing of someone who's just hungry to get more attention from someone else when they're not getting it from their core group of friends. Yeah. Because someone else joins in, you know? Yeah. So it could have been me and him was the main group, and then the other guy came in and then separated him completely. Yeah.
Took over the group. Yeah. It's very interesting because most films that are like coming of age or high school films, they don't even do that great of a job tackling that. In this film, which isn't even a coming of age film, like in that one discussion, like I saw everything he researched, and it's not obvious. Like first time watching it, I didn't feel it, but now going back, knowing knowledge and like seeing it again, like it, like the way that one scene was just written or performed, you know, like I had so much depth while being invisible, and it really teaches me a lot. Well, I feel like it could teach a lot of people about how groups work like that, and how humans work when they have friends, and how communication can create an evil. Like I'm not defending the guy who is a creep, because obviously he's a creep, but someone who's already predisposed to that, like they already have sick thoughts, and then you put them in the situation where they kind of like blossom, you know? Especially when you match them with Kayla, who's a little weaker and she didn't really know what to do. But I feel like if people really notice, they can tell if one of their friends is kind of like that, and to look out for other friends who aren't alphas, who can't really take care of themselves. Like it's also like the best friend's fault. Like she kind of knew, like the way when she looked back, like, are you sure? Like she knew that this guy wasn't all that, you know, like he couldn't really be trusted, because if he could, she wouldn't have asked, and she would have been like, drop him off first. So Jack.
I don't know, it just makes me, I just imagine like when someone has a daughter and they watch this movie, it would be more cemented, like, oh yeah, my daughter is definitely never gonna hang out with guy friends.
I would do the opposite.
That's what I was gonna say. I would do the opposite after I teach her how to do martial arts. And how to debate.
Oh, yes, okay. All that stuff good. But I'm saying...
And how to shoot a firearm.
No,
hold on, let me get my point first.
Yeah, let him talk.
See, this is something that I feel like it's the whole habit of like seek first to understand and to be understood. It's like, I don't want my daughter to have friends, and I'm gonna teach her all these defense mechanisms. Well, that's great and all, but you can also... No, I'm not...
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But what I'm trying to say is you could learn so much by having all her friends show up and you separating yourself from them, right? And just watch them or observe them and just kind of be around, but get comfortable to where all these friends are showing their true selves. And you as a third person looking in, you can obviously see which friends aren't good. You know, like if Jack were to bring all his friends and they're hanging out in the room, and we're kind of just like doing work or something, I guarantee you, me and you could point out which ones are sketchy. And then later you can have a discussion with like your son or daughter or whatever, and be like, hey, like I noticed these traits that are kind of weird, you know? Yeah. And what do you think about it? I'm not telling them like, I don't want you to be their friends, but I'm just making it aware of what I noticed. And maybe you can think about stuff like that as well. And I feel like that teaches you how to diagnose bad people, because everyone shows signs.
And it is at that moment where they don't know that they're being watched or analyzed, that's when they show most of their traits. Alright, this might be kind of weird, but I do it with Jack all the time.
What do you mean?
Like he might be doing something, like whenever we're working out or whatever, because I like watching my bros, because they're they're literally growing in front of me, and I just like seeing how they learn different things and how they express themselves. And I meant more of like the part of the whole alpha stuff, because recently Jack has his new friend, and what's his name? Jason, and he's the only friend that I've ever seen him hang out with the family, I guess, at least with me. And that's his age, and he acts so different than if you were to just be with Dylan, or if you were to just to be with me, or if you were just to be with you, you know, like that. But yeah, I learned a lot of stuff from my bro. Yeah. The whole alpha stuff and personality changes when a new person comes in.
Oh yeah, I feel like when Jason comes in, he becomes an alpha.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
And then it feels like sometimes he gets very annoyed by it.
That he's the alpha?
Yeah, like, he gets like, shut up, bro. Like,
no, it's kind of like...
Which is good, because it's like, you have two possible alphas who don't really want it. And then he respects you because he's like, he sees you as like a best friend. And he obviously thinks of you greatly. And he's also kind of not shy, but he's like, I don't know what his life story is, but it seems like he isn't like very confident about what he says, because he's always going back and like, oh no, that's stupid or whatever. And then Jack never takes anything back. Jack says,
fuck.
He says that, and he will never. I have never heard Jack said, oh shit, I shouldn't say that or something. He says, well, that's stupid, but he's even double owning it. And he
like,
just,
that was stupid, but fuck it.
yeah, exactly. So like, imagine being a person who is like, fuck man, I said something fucking dumb, and then Jack pulls up, says the stupidest thing you can humanly imagine, owns it, doubles down on it, triple threats it, slaps his knee, dabs, does an orange justice, and then fucking walks away.
Yeah.
You know, like, how can you not see that person as the alpha in the group?
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Who's the second alpha, though?
Well, there's only one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So there can only be one alpha in a group?
Well, at a time. So so in that conversation, they were arguing, the girl and that dude, because they're both alphas, and like one will take the mantle, and then they're leading a conversation or discussion, and then this person's like, oh no, that's fucking bullshit, and then this person's like, no, it's fucking not, and then it'll go how it goes, bickering. And then if he wins the discussion, he'll start kind of leading the group.
Yeah.
It's very cool how that social dynamic
that's fucking
works.
Dope.
Yeah, like, I want to like see like groups of people and just see how they interact like that.
I want to say that it's usually the best talker that wins. The fastest thinker, even though the other person has better points, is the one who can bullshit with so much confidence.
I don't think so, because like...
What do you mean? Look at who's our president.
Wait, what? Wait, what did you say? I'm sorry, I forgot.
You're not listening?
No, go back.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. So I'm saying the one who ultimately becomes the alpha out of two people. There's one guy who he has whatever. He knows what he wants, but he's not able to communicate it as well as the second person who is so well spoken that he's even able to convince the guy who's against him that they're on the same team. And then he's gonna go on top. Why? Because he's the best talker. He's the one who can dissect people's emotions the best. And he's the alpha.
Possible.
And I'm giving an example after you said no. Who's our president?
Yeah, but he's not good at dissecting stuff.
That doesn't matter. He has people who do it for him, but at the end of the day, he's the one who carries the information out and says it. Yeah,
I think it's just the energy, which is what you're saying.
Another thing, yeah, it's energy.
I feel like it's just brute force. Like, even if it's the stupidest thing, whoever is just relentless.
That's something.
Like, you could just say, nope.
Prove it.
Nope.
prove it.
Nope.
Dylan.
That's some.
And
that's
you win.
some-
You win because you can't break it. You
Dylan.
can't fucking talk to him.
I have arguments with Dylan because I'm like, yo, dude, like, what? Why do that when you could do this and it's not gonna like affect you the way it's affecting you right now? He's like, no, it won't. And I'm like, dude, yes, it will. He's like, prove it. And I'm like, damn, dude, I can't fucking prove anything, dude.
because it has to happen to you.
Yeah, I can't like physically just pull out a chart and like draw shit out. Like, this is what happened to me bit by bit.
Yeah.
Make a cartoon of it or some shit. I can't do that.
And
So
even
I
then,
kinda
he'll
just,
probably pull out with another prove it.
Yeah, and then
Like, how do I know you're not lying?
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's all I want to say.
No, I see that with
A
people
lot of
who
people
just
around me.
like people who just really, I want to say ignorant.
Yeah.
They choose to be ignorant, and if someone tries to quote unquote open their eyes to a new way of thinking,
Yeah.
they're so adamant about it that they become stupid.
Yeah.
First ignorant, then adamant, then stupid, which triggers more ignorant.
Yeah.
And then the cycle is deadly, and it pulls a lot of people in with anger, and I'm one of them. I just get so angry when someone makes an argument. It's like, I know you're stupid. I know you're stupid. But what am I? Like,
Yeah.
that type of shit.
Like, that's so stupid.
Yeah. Or
Like-
what is it? I know you're dumb, but what am I? I forgot
Yeah,
how
No,
it goes.
it's like some dumb shit like know you. Like he's
Oh,
roasting
yeah.
the shit out of you, and he's like that one guy that only says know you because he can't say shit
Yeah.
else because he's
I know
he's
you
not
are, but
clever
what am
enough
I?
to like
Yeah.
come up with something himself,
Yeah.
so he just says know you.
Yeah.
Wait, people say no you?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fuck.
No one says I know you are, but what am I? That was kindergarten shit.
Bro,
Now
I
it's
said
like,
that last week.
Oh, well, that's you,
Fuck.
man.
Someone put mayonnaise on my shit when I said no mayonnaise, and then they were like, what are you gonna do about it? And I was like, I know you are, but what am I?
That makes no fucking sense. That doesn't even go together.
That's so amazing.
Oh.
You good? Kind of.
You're saying that you heard a lot more research, more about the research that he did for this movie, aside from the personal dynamics or social dynamics. What else did you hear?
Oh, that's the bulk of the film is the school, school and how people react and
Mhm.
act around
Mhm.
other people, especially when they're all growing at the same time
Yeah.
and trying to be who they are or whatever. But that was the bulk of it. And he talked about how he just asked a lot of questions to high schoolers and stuff. Like, he actually shot it all in a real school, and most of the kids are just real students that were in the school. Like, almost all the teachers were just real teachers that actually were at that school.
Miss Roach.
And then
I noticed that and I was like, damn, dude, I swear at some point in my life there was someone in my school, any school, I don't remember a lot about school because I just try not thinking about it, but I swear there was an administrator, a teacher, maybe a fucking janitor or some shit, but I just remember her name being Miss Roach. And it like clicked in me and I'm like, oh shit, dude.
And it's so funny because Jack, when the scene came up with the music teacher, and he had that long ass like pony, or what is that called?
Braid.
Yeah, braid. But just that's the only chunk of hair that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was like kind of shaved or whatever. He was like, yeah, I'll get an actor or whatever for the music composer, and then the school composer walked in with that braid, and then he just stared at him and he was just like, you're in my movie, man. And then the day of when they showed up or whatever, they didn't tell him what to wear, and he wore a white shirt.
What?
Yeah, and then he was talking to Amber. He was like, that dude knew what was going on. Like, he was fully aware of why he was in that movie.
He was
That's
probably like,
amazing.
they probably roasting my ass, but I'm in a movie, so let's get it.
I love how the band was so
Like,
not
terrible.
in sync.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
One guy's trying to imitate Gucci Gang, while the other ones are actually doing the national anthem. That one guy.
That should be the national anthem for the next
For the
couple
boys.
years.
Du- 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 Oh
Just
my,
dubstep, just insane.
oh my god, that was so amazing. Did
Yo.
you notice that? Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say
Yeah, go ahead.
real quick,
Go ahead.
but I liked how what you were talking about, Anthony, was that he actually talked to like real high schoolers and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I felt this movie actually got it like straight with high schoolers, because there's a lot of movies out there that are meant for teens, but they're ass.
Yeah.
Let's take Bumblebee. This is the most recent one, and we talked about this. Listen to it. Listen to the podcast.
Comes out
After
sometime
this
next week.
week.
Sometime this in time, but like I don't know, the conversations they were having.
We're so fake.
Yeah, it was like
Their
fuck,
conversations were literally verbatim the conversations that the teachers were. How the teachers were communicating
With the kids.
is how every high school movie is. Like,
It's like
kids dabbing and then like lit.
Oh yeah. It's
Like-
like it's gonna be lit in a presentation. What? Usually
let's learn
presentations
about-
are like
The hair down there.
It's gonna
What?
be lit.
it's gonna be lit. Page 1, pubes. There's like some shit like that. I don't know if it said page 1. I
And-
just remember hearing pubes or
The hair down there.
hair or
And it's so crazy because all like obviously
Wait, he wasn't done.
oh
He
No, I
said,
was- I
I'm gonna
was-
say something real quick, but after this.
okay.
No, but I'm just saying this real quick. Like he actually
The
captured,
feeling.
yeah, like the
Mhm.
feeling of that.
Yeah.
How most movies didn't really do
Yeah.
it. It was kind of just like a dude was just like, all right, this sounds like what a teenager would say, but it's
Exactly.
nothing like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, dude, fuck it.
Yeah.
But like
He
he
actually
actually, well, you said he researched it,
Yeah.
which actually made the movie better than any teenage movie.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I was gonna add on to that by saying that, like, I feel like you don't even like he obviously really cared about this story, and he's obviously like a badass director because he's when he goes for it, he's going all the way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long he researched, but he dedicated time just to realize what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But even like Bumblebee or any other film about high schoolers or whatever that we've seen recently, all they have to do is just let some random high schooler read it. Like, you don't even have to do that much research.
Yep.
Like, you just have to let any person in school read it. And I guarantee you, if someone handed the Bumblebee script to Jack or any of his friends and be like, all right, just highlight what you think is cringy,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing would be fucking yellow. And they like they don't even know, like, it could be some kid who doesn't even like writing,
Uh-huh.
and they could easily point out how stupid, like, what was it,
How-
Ready Player One?
Yeah.
That movie was so, the dialogue was so garbage in that film. Like, it did not make sense. Like, what was
I don't even remember half.
it was like,
more
you
than
got
half.
owned, bro, or some shit. And like, that made me cringe. Like, that was back when I was in high school,
Oh,
and it was
man.
phasing out when I was in high school.
Dang,
Dang.
dude. I like movies that they have cringy stuff in it, but the movie's meant to be cringy. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
just supposed to be funny, but like when the movie's actually like serious and they have like cringy shit that they
Yeah.
think is like, dude, this is gonna make the teens laugh out loud, LOL, and shit like that. But like, it doesn't even phase them. Like, this is air, dude. This ain't shit.
It's gonna make them
This is water.
lols.
man. This is water, dude.
It's gonna be Kwanzaa.
Kumbaya.
But yeah, it's actually really interesting because in the first draft of the script, he originally had all the messaging and all that stuff like all the social networks were just gonna be Facebook.
And then
And-
Kayla told him,
yeah.
no one uses
She
Facebook anymore.
Yeah, she like read the script in an audition or something and was like, no one uses Facebook. And then he's like, oh fuck.
I'm outdated.
But
Do you?
But they were like Snapchat and shit, and this is like recent too.
yeah,
Like
Snap
Snapchat wasn't
twizzles?
Insta Snap, but
Mm.
I don't know. It was true. Like, well, I guess what most people would probably use Snapchat just to like communicate with friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then there's that one fuck boy who's
Send
like
me some pics.
has all homies on his story and
Mhm.
decides to send a freaking wiener pic, and then
yeah.
all his friends open it up and they're like, dude,
Dang.
what's up with this gummy worm, man?
I ain't lesbian.
Glass.
Oh my gosh. I wonder how many people out there have accidentally posted a nude
A lot.
in the
bet a lot.
wrong feed. Like
I think there was an actress, or I think it was an actress. She accidentally posted like her boobs on Twitter, or some shit like that.
What?
That happened not too long ago. I might be lying, but I remember a story like
Did
that.
you see them?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it was on Twitter, but it was like an article. It was like blurred and stuff, but it was like a thing that went around.
No, I meant like, did you see them?
No.
I remember when
I
there
do
was
see a
a
lot of
on
those.
YouTube.
Hmm.
There was I forgot what exactly happened, but there was someone who spammed YouTube. So the way they did it is they uploaded a lot of videos that look like a still shot of a lady having sex with a guy,
Hmm.
and the first they uploaded these like back to back to back to back, and it
Yeah.
was on my feed. The first one was very clear, like you can literally see everything, and I didn't click, and I was like, what the hell? And I refreshed it, and there was another one. It was just a little bit more blurry, and then I refreshed it, and it was another one, and it was more and more and more and more and more blurry, and it had like millions of views on each one of those, and every time I refreshed it, it went from 0 to thousands or whatever in like
Yeah.
a couple seconds. But that's on YouTube, and usually they do a really good job of keeping
clean
up
and
with that.
stuff.
So I just imagine
For them
you follow an
TikTok ads.
adult, and then a little kid sees some shit like that, and they're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
like
let me
nudes
look some of
late.
this up."
Or it's like that YouTube Kids thing that keeps happening where it's like a kid video, but then they start doing like nasty shit in it.
Yeah, I was actually very disturbed by that.
Yeah.
What?
There's a YouTube Kids. I'll show you a video later.
It's like it's showed like a kid show, you know,
Yeah.
and then they start talking about death or whatever, and
Or
like
sex.
yeah, like crazy shit. Like they're not showing anything, but like the way it's shot and the way they're talking starts getting like psychotic and shit.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen that? What is that one like animation? But it's not like actual people.
Mm.
I guess it looks like kid friendly or whatever, but you watch it and it's like,
Something about give me a hug or something.
yeah, don't hug me, I'm scared.
Yeah, don't hug me, I'm scared.
Like that thing. Like I watched it and I was like, dude, this thing looks cool. Because my friend showed it to me. He's like, dude, look at this.
I
This
saw
shit's,
that
like,
in
weird.
middle school. I mean, high school.
Yeah, I saw it, like middle school, intermediate school, or some shit like that. I don't know. But like there was all these weird shots.
Mhm.
Like they were so weird that they were like disgusting to watch. And like
Lingering.
yeah, like now thinking about it, like if a little kid were to watch that, that's like
Trauma.
yeah, that's like
Yeah.
disturbing.
Yeah.
That's,
But the thing is that YouTube doesn't take them out because they're not showing anything.
yeah,
No blood. They're not
Yeah.
cussing
Yeah.
or anything. It's just weird noises and all
it's
that
like
stuff.
brainwash, but like different
Yeah.
in a way.
Well,
Off top.
no, it's kind of on topic.
Well, for me, it was on.
Nah.
I was gonna segue into the fact that she looked up how to give a blowjob,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it popped up on the internet.
And then she was like, "Wait, how to give a good blowjob?"
Yeah, and then it was a doctor lady, and then she like had weenie, a rubber weenie or whatever, and then she was making circular motions, and then she went and got a banana, and then her dad found her, and she was all freaked out, like, I don't like, but I like bananas now. She ended up making herself gag.
Yeah, I think when Jack was watching the scene, he was like, "You gotta peel it or whatever," and like, she didn't peel it because she doesn't like how bananas taste.
No, I was watching it and I thought she was like, okay, I'm done with this shit. I don't want to know anything about it anymore. I'm gonna go in the kitchen and grab something to eat. She's like looking around. She's like, oh, there's a banana. I'll just eat a banana or some shit. And she goes and I'm like, what the fuck you doing, man? You're supposed to peel it first. And I was like, oh wait, she just looked up how to give a good blowjob. Now I know what she's doing. And then she's just
so
y'all saw it. Y'all know the scene. I don't really have to reenact it, but that was funny.
I feel like every parent with a daughter or whatever, they're like looking at their bananas and cucumbers like, have any of these been touched inappropriately?
Is that why they're bruised?
Yes.
After the second
like, why
day?
does my daughter keep asking for bananas?
Then that one parent who takes it way too far when his or her daughter isn't doing that shit.
Oh,
but then they have the talk, and then she actually does start doing it because of that.
She gets like that idea.
Yeah, she's like,
damn it.
oh damn, man, I haven't thought of that one. But I like the scene where she's like, fuck, dude, I completely forgot what she was looking up. No, I think she was looking at that one video, that guy flexing in the mirror, and her dad walks in, she just throws the fucking phone, and she breaks it. Like, that, dude,
have you ever
was,
had
like,
that
hilarious.
reaction?
Well, I feel like for her,
I've never thrown it.
She was, like, deep into the state of thirst. And she was just, like, she probably felt like that's probably the nastiest point of her life up to then.
Whoa.
You know, like
the most perverted thoughts she's ever
looking
had.
at some dude's thick arms.
Yeah, just like slowly rewatching his muscles flexing.
Whoa.
And then her dad walks in and it's like, oh fuck. You know, it'd be like if you were watching porn and then your mom pulls up like, hey Jack, what you doing? Like, oh
yes, sis.
You slap yourself because you're so ashamed.
No, that happens to me like when I'm like using the bathroom or in the shower, right?
Yeah.
Since me, Mom, and Ducky, we all share the same fucking Dylan. We all share the same. We all share the same bathroom. So I'm like taking a shower. So I've just been locking the fucking thing because I don't like people coming into the room or anything just to like,
and there's no curtain.
Exactly, just to like fucking do some dumb shit like, oh, I need my shoe. You can fucking wait for your shoe. You don't have to come only when I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
Well, I would like be taking a shower and Mom's like, yo, I'm gonna get like some bullshit, and I'm like, no, Mom, no, Dylan. He's like, dude, I left my Teddy. No, Dylan, Teddy is fucking fine, dude. He's not dying. I haven't touched him. But like, I don't know. One day, it's happened before multiple times. They just bust in, not like slowly open the door. They like FBI SWAT my fucking the freaking bathroom, and I'm just like I started, and then my one reaction is to like cover my wiener because I don't know who the hell's coming in, so I just go
pulling up.
I don't know who's pulling up or what's their reason.
I gotta protect mine and my own.
Hell yeah. But I don't know. That's one thing. I haven't had one of those.
That seems
moments.
Kind of like a similar reaction when someone takes you off guard when you're in
yeah, well, yeah, getting taken
moment.
like off guard or like. Yeah, I've never had like a moment like that where I'm watching some shit and then someone pulls up and they're like, "Hey man, what you watching?"
Watching twerking videos.
Yeah, I guess one of my friends at school, like this happened.
Yeah.
But like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I guess like he's like so used to it. But he was just sitting down, and I'm like, "Yo, dude, what up?" And it's like, "Good morning, dude. What's up?" And he's like on his phone like this, and I like look over his shoulder. I'm like, "What up, man? What you doing?" And it was just like some porn site, and he's just scrolling down. I'm like, it's 7:30, man. It's like, dude, what?
7:30 in the
Licking the
morning.
hell out of my lips, and I'm like, dude, having fun there, huh? And he's like, dude, you want to watch some shit? And I'm like, nah, man, nah.
That's always been the weirdest thing to me.
I don't do that shit with other dudes.
That's always been the weirdest shit. Like, I remember one time I went to a party or whatever. Everyone's drinking, having a good time.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a normal party.
Mm-hmm.
And then I show up. No one's touching themselves.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I show up, and there's like 3 TVs playing porn.
What?
And people are watching it like a movie. Like, oh, yeah, dude, she's so great. Or like, look at this dude come in. And everyone's just drinking, and it's like they're watching a fucking football game. And it's, yeah.
What?
And there's
I
actually
go to
people
one of
who's
those
like that. Like,
You lie.
I swear to God.
Like, they're so desensitized to it?
Yeah.
What is the point?
Well, the point is they just enjoy watching it with other people.
Like a community?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Ow.
I don't even, like, I don't know.
So
I don't personally know anyone like that, so I can't ask them, but...
Yeah. But you've witnessed something like that.
Yeah, because I walked in, and it was just like, whoa, and then I just felt uncomfortable, so I walked out, and I was like, well, this party ain't for me.
Obviously.
Like, I don't know, that's so weird to me.
I only have
no
a
offense
friend
to anyone
like that.
who's
I only
like
have one friend. Like his wallpaper is literally like a porn, like fucking
a still shot.
A logo, dude. It's like the logo. Yeah, it's just that, and I'm like, dude,
does your mom not know this?
Where are your parents? But he's had that wallpaper for like 3 years. And I'm like, dude, are you gonna like? He broke his phone, and he got another one, and he had the same wallpaper. And I'm like, dude, is that all you do, man? He's like, yeah.
I would actually like to talk to someone who likes doing that.
What?
Or like
Going
see
to,
like
porn parties,
yeah,
whatever those are called.
Because I mean, we're just taking it from the perspective of like we're not used to it or whatever. But I imagine maybe there's some people who just don't mind, because if you think about, because we're in America. In America, everything is so taboo. No, taboo. Like, it's like talking about sex is kind of like, oh, dude, what the fuck you talking about? Like, I'm in the car with you. That shit's private. But in foreign countries, because like I watch a lot, or I have been watching a lot of foreign cinema, especially like French cinema.
Yeah.
I mean, just for no reason, there would just be titties. You know, there'll just be some girl, and like you just see her vagina. Where in American cinema, like I have never seen like a full frontal or something. Well, besides a couple movies, but like it's different.
It's rated R, clear.
It literally says like on the back sexual content, or like some type of shot that's in it.
Yeah,
but
and it's just like a girl's nip slip, and then it's already sexual content.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is maybe there is something more that we just don't understand because we've been forced to think it's gross. You know, like maybe there is because they are actors and actresses, so maybe there is some sort of performance that people think are great. Because there's like people who actually like follow porn stars, and they like know porn stars by name. They know the history of porn stars. You know, like
For real.
there is something that people like that I feel like isn't even sexual, because they're not even masturbating the whole time. Like they get some sort of entertainment value. You know, like I don't like watching golf. So what if in America everyone thought golf was taboo, you know? It's like the same thing.
Okay.
So I'd be interested if, I don't think we have any listeners or foreign listeners or anyone that, but if you are in the future, maybe someone can email us.
Yeah.
And let us know.
That's actually a really interesting point.
Because there was a movie by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's called Don John. And the whole film is about his character being a porn addict.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a really interesting film because it tackled the idea, but not in a, like, it wasn't making him a pervert or anything. It was just something he enjoyed because he couldn't get satisfaction from a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd sleep with like multiple women,
Mm-hmm.
like every night.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd make love to him or whatever, and then he'd, they go to bed, and then he goes to his like living room and then watches porn.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps like progressing, like his porn addiction or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like watching porn all the time, and he's like he has to masturbate like 6 times a day and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting like character study on a person like that and like why he got like that, but it was actually stemmed from him not feeling relieved from anyone in an intimate way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I was working at a fast food restaurant, there was a guy who was kind of like that. He didn't tell me directly, like, I'm a sex addict or whatever, but you could kind of feel his vibe,
Yeah.
And he was telling me, he was so open about it, kind of like how Jack's example, his friend just was scrolling through porn sites in the middle of class in the morning. Like, he was just casually saying, like, yeah, I can only get off, wait, hold on. He was saying something along the lines of, I can't finish unless it's rough or some shit like that. And I didn't know what that meant because at the same time, I don't really go into like whatever genres or whatever people are into. But he was like, yeah, like I literally can have sex with all these people. And he's also a swinger. But I can have sex with all these people, my wife, all these other people, but I don't get off of it. And then he's like, yeah, it has to be like super rough. And then still to this day, I kind of have an idea of what it is, but just the way he expressing himself was like, he's so used to it being a certain way. Like, it's like, I don't know. I have to say it's kind of like smoking. The first time you smoke, you get really high, and then your brain thinks,
really
I want to get it. I want to get the same feeling again. So next time you have to smoke 2 cigarettes. Next time 3 cigarettes. Next time 4 cigarettes. And it keeps progressing because you create, maybe not that fast, but you create a tolerance to whatever you're stimulating your brain with.
Yeah, the stimulation.
Like, and in another example is like me with YouTube. There was a moment when I like YouTube a little bit. I got to know YouTube. I really like YouTube. And then I didn't like YouTube, but I was so used to watching it that it just became something like a habit.
Yeah.
And the habit became stronger and stronger and stronger or whatever. And I don't watch YouTube that often, but still it was there.
Yeah. And then, wrapping it back to the film, that is another element of this film that is very well implemented. Like the whole, there's one scene, one of the most, probably the second best, it's the best edited scene because the other one was just one shot that was really well edited, which was in Mandy. But this whole segment where she's on her bed and just scrolling through, you can't even tell what she's on. Is it Tumblr? Is it Facebook? Is it Snapchat? Is it Instagram? You don't really know what she's looking at because it's worthless and it's meaningless. Just as you can finally see what one posts and you're starting to read it or you're starting to see what video she's watching, it begins to fade out and you just see her eyes, and then that image disappears and now there's another thing, and then there's another thing, and then there's another thing, and it's
she's in different positions but still on her phone.
Yeah, and then you kind of you see her transition into different positions, but it doesn't feel clear. And just the way he shot it, just the composition of it all, is just so amazing to me because he must have really thought about how he could separate the foreground from the background. So in the edit, the background isn't too lit, so it's in the scene that you're trying to add.
Mm-hmm.
And then positioning, like if she's on the right or the left, you have the other image fading into the left or right. You have her eyes. You know, I imagine they must have shot a pretty bright or brighter light than all over her face on her eyes, so they could have separated that easily in the edit. And then other like motions and stuff where she's moving,
Mm-hmm.
because the first time I thought her eyes were just floating,
Yeah.
but this time I realized that they're switching positions, like every time she moves and it snaps into a different position.
Yeah.
But if you're not paying attention, it just feels like her eyes are always there, but they weren't always there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like I just feel like that is the best visual representation of when you just lose sense of time on the internet.
Yeah.
Like you get back from school, you get back from work, and you just lay down, you're like, oh, I'm gonna check Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you know, you're on YouTube. But you don't even know you're on YouTube. You're just watching some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're having a good time. And then the next thing you know, you're on, like, Snapchat. And then you're on whatever the fuck you're on.
You go through a rabbit hole of information that you don't know where it even started.
Yeah, and then the edit almost defines how, like, transparent it is and worthless. Like, it almost feels like it never happened while it's happening, you know?
You're asking yourself, what did I even learn anything?
Yeah,
And
like,
you
what
try
was I-
to recall anything and it doesn't come,
Yeah.
and nothing comes to you.
Unless you, well, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I watch like, okay, I'm gonna watch this interview with like this dude I want to find out more about,
Mm-hmm.
or most of the time I'm watching like let's say like a gaming montage, or just going back to like all the old YouTubers that I used to watch like growing up and stuff.
Yes.
Oh, one posted a new video, let me check it out, but I never like completely finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Or just dumb shit, like anything that pops up and it's like cool, like even if it's like stupid as hell, like 1,000-degree metal ball versus frog or some dumb shit like that, like versus toothpaste or something like that, or we you will not believe what we just did, and it's like they bought a fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like something like super hyped up, and it's just stupid, but I click on it and I watch the whole video.
Dang,
Yeah.
bro, you're there.
Yeah, I think everyone's there.
No, not me, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
you,
was
like you
last
just
year.
like 2 weeks ago, Chip.
No, last year was 3 weeks ago, sir.
Boom. But yeah, I feel like
Bro, but that's the same thing.
No, I'm a changed woman now.
Yeah.
But either way, that was just a brilliant way of showing that. And I don't know, it's so crazy because that's like kind of the world we live in now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like only gonna get more like that. So it's like I wonder how it's gonna feel watching this movie 10 years from now. Because how most movies they get old
James.
and they're outdated because they started like almost outdated. Where this film just feels like a timestamp.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a little bookmark
Mm-hmm.
in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder, like, 10 years from now, watching it again, like, wow, you remember when you used to have to, like, scroll on your phone to, like, fucking watch videos?
We're gonna do the whole Elon Musk approach and just have chips on our brains.
Yeah, like, imagine how easy it would be to lose
just teleporting
reality at
everywhere.
that point.
I think everyone would get like really fat.
Like, you just be like, and you just watch, like, hours and hours of YouTube just, like, you could probably even close your eyes and it'd just be like, oh, dude. You know? Like,
Oh,
That's
sick
so
trick shot.
weird.
This is dumb shit.
That's so
Loophole.
weird. All I
Some-
know is that ads are getting very effective.
Ads are stupid, especially all the TikTok shit. Stop TikTok. Let's raise money and fight this disease. No, it's
It's
just
called
stupid.
Ligma.
Bruh. Connection. But I liked all the LeBron James shots. Like, they were so stupid. Like, there's a school shooting, like, reenactment thing. And he's like,
Mhm.
alright, what did we learn? LeBron James? Like, it's just stupid. And it's the same kid.
Yeah.
It's the same kid. And it's
Mhm.
so good, and it's like at the most random shit. And I feel like that happens a lot, like at school.
Mm-hmm.
Like a teacher will be studying, and then dude shoots a paper ball, misses horribly. He just stands up, dabs, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
Like this mode, he's just asking for attention.
Yeah.
He's
Just
begging.
asking to get clapped.
How often do you like? How are your school shooting drills? Like, do y'all have them?
No, we
often?
don't. We never.
Y'all have never had one?
No, that doesn't
What
happen.
do you really? What could you really do, honestly?
No, I'm just wondering if they have drills because I know a lot of schools have drills. Like that's a norm now.
No, we don't. But there was like a threat recently. Like there was low key threat, and we were like on code red lockdown and shit for like a whole class period.
Shut up.
Yeah, and I was just sitting there like, fuck it. I got on YouTube and I started watching Filthy Frank. And
That's
shit.
literally what all the kids did. They went under their desk and was just
Like, I just did that because I was like, man, dude, what the fuck am I gonna do? If he comes into the classroom,
When I die,
what the fuck am
I ain't feeling nothing.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I was thinking, like, what if he actually came in here? And I was like, and the whole time I was like, damn, dude, I'm gonna be that one guy who ends up trying to save someone but dies. And then no one's gonna fucking know what I did because that guy's also gonna die because he's right behind me. And then I'm just gonna have
Like,
nothing
no
left.
joke, I feel
I'm
like
just gonna
that's low key how I'm gonna die too. Like, I'm gonna die doing something that I believe in is right, but no one's going to ever
No.
know that happened.
I will.
I'm okay with it,
I will honor.
but I know
Chicken
I
strip.
kind of have a big feeling that that's gonna happen.
When I'm rich, I'm gonna get a big chain and I'm just gonna have a chicken strip. Like, just on the back is just gonna say Chelsea. And like some like your famous quotes like Invisalign. So like every time, like, I don't know, you're in Korea or something, just like doing your own stuff, and now I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna be. I don't know, just patrolling one day. I don't
You're
know.
gonna have a
fucking-
big ass chain, bro.
I
You're
mean,
gonna
I
be rich.
guess I'm gonna have like a thin ass chain, like paper thin chain, but like a big ass like.
No, bro, it's gonna be
Rock.
tooth floss, and then at the end you're gonna have a actual printout picture of a chicken
Oh
strip.
yeah, I'm gonna have a 3D printed out chicken strip, and that I just like sharpied on to like some texture because I'm a god.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna like not razor. I'm just gonna one of those navajas, one of those super sharp blades, and I'm just gonna carve shit into it.
Exacto knives.
Whatever the fuck.
I'm gonna do crafts. That's basically what you just said.
Fucking hate crafts. Dude.
I'm gonna crafts you into eternity.
I'm gonna craft you into the
Was-
history books.
Was there anything else that you liked about the movie?
Me? Oh yeah.
I'm done.
What else?
Let's see. I talked about that scene, the whole rabbit hole of like digitalness or whatever. I love the editing of like the whole film. There's like so many just fantastic transitions. Like it's so interesting because he has so many like fade ins and fade outs to other scenes, but then he also uses like basically like a smash cut or a quick cut to something where you're in one place and then it just instantly sends you to another place without giving you any information on where you're at.
Yeah.
And then it's amplified by like 1,000 because you hear the sound of this place and like something's going on, and then right when the cut is about to happen you hear a noise or some kind of music initiates the next scene from happening, and it's all just happens like it's like punching you in the head or something to the next scene. And just the whole editing of the film is just freaking amazing. Like
the moment that I noticed it the most was when it transitioned into the final play date or whatever you want to call it with Caitlin and Gabe, where he's just so nervous. And then it went from the scene before that where it was a lot of music, and then it faded into quietness, and then it just cut. And then it was that scene. That's when I noticed it the most because it was so drastic, and clicked in my head, like, oh, this is what's been happening.
Yeah, the editor is just like literally one of the best edited films of 2018 and one of the best edited films I've ever seen. The music is so fucking good. Like, easily the best score I've heard in maybe 2 years, maybe even more. Or it doesn't even matter. Like, it's just so unique. It almost feels like if Trent Reznor was an 8th grade girl, this is the music he would make. Like, it's so, like, it's so fucking hard, but at the same time it sounds bubbly and girly and feminine and like
sick.
Like almost happy, but at the same time depressed and anxious, and there's like fear and just like all the beats. Like, I don't know how Anna Meredith and Bo Burnham came up with this like sound. Like, it just sounds so cinematic, and then it's like normal life shit, like her walking through the hallway and it's just booming in the fucking background, like and it like feels like you're in a horror movie, because that's what she feels like every time she's in school or whatever, because she gets nervous. And then when I didn't notice it the first time, but when it's and the second time I watched it, when she gets to the part where she's saying she's not gonna make videos anymore and she's like giving up and she's quitting, she says a line about how she always gets butterflies in her stomach.
The roller coaster part,
and
like she gets the butterflies in her stomach, like riding a roller coaster.
Yeah.
She always has the feeling before, but she never gets the satisfaction feeling after you get off the roller coaster. Like, I did this, and I don't know why I was all worried about it.
And the sound so perfectly defines that. Like, every song feels like someone who is about to bungee jump or about to jump out of an airplane, or like whatever your fear is, it's like that shit's right in front of you, and you know, to get to where you want to be or who you want to be, you have to like go through it. It'd be like if there was like an aisle of slugs and you have to just pass, to go to the next objective. Or for Jack, to graduate high school, you have to eat 10 eggs. Dude. Back to back. It's just like,
I will do it.
Like, you can do it, but at the same time, you're like,
I'd rather not.
Like, you're just cringing and like fucking balling up your fist.
I have
and
to pee now. Like,
scratching. Like, the score is just so fucking perfect. Like, I can't say it enough, like, how much I've written so many stories to this score, to individual songs, to mini songs, to the whole thing. Like, it's so fucking incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Anna Meredith and Bo Burnham, fantastic musicians. Because it's really interesting. I listened to an interview again, and he talked about how he came up with like a baseline songs, because he also makes music. If you've seen any of his stand-up, he makes all his music and produces it. But he wasn't really confident in what he created, so he found this girl named Anna Meredith, and she's so small. Like, she doesn't even have like more than 30,000 subscribers on Spotify. Like, that's so stupidly small. Like, that's like no one knows about her, basically. And he found her, and he sent her the track, and then they just started collaborating, and then she made it beautiful or whatever. But it's so interesting. Like,
I'm a follower, deadass.
Yeah, but it's so cool.
Right after this.
Like, it sounds so masterful, and it's from, like someone who hasn't really made it yet. And I feel like hopefully this film makes her career blow up, because even still, her follower count is so low. So, like, she should be at the level of Trent Reznor. She should be at the level of Hans Zimmer, Michael Giacchino, all those. Like, it's fucking crazy how good the score was for such a simple film.
Oh, yes.
And it felt, like I already said, it felt fresh or whatever. But anyway, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the cinematography. I talked about the car scene, how it was lit. Second time watching it, I didn't notice how they used lighting in that, in the way. And there's many other scenes in the film where lighting was used extremely effectively. Like, I love the glow from the phone. And all the time she uses her phone like glows on her, like she's entering another world or something, and she's like leaving.
It was like at max brightness.
Yeah, because it happened in the daytime and at nighttime, and that's something I didn't notice previously. So it was like manufactured like that,
Yes.
And so that was just a fascinating thing. Like so many choices they made lighting wise, just to make you feel in the mood of the film was brilliant. Like how her room was set up, all the lights around her bed and stuff, like all the set designs. So like the school looked like a real school because it was, but just them maybe changing stuff or not changing stuff was a smart decision. The whole pool party was just brilliant. Like all the costumes for all the girls and boys looked realistic, and they looked like they were pushing it. Like these are middle schoolers. Like who is letting them wear this? But at the same time, it like reflects their characters and their parents. And then all the other set designs of the house and stuff. But also the use of other music too. I forgot to mention, like the "Sail Away" song. I'd never heard that song, but hearing that in that montage while she's getting lost in the internet was really awesome.
Yes.
And then cinematography. But another thing about cinematography that I wanted to mention was the way they used focus. I didn't notice
Say it, Hannes.
the first time, which was every scene you're seeing it in the perspective of Kayla, but you're not seeing it through her point of view, but you're seeing what she's focused on. And they used the camera to highlight that, which I didn't really notice the first time, but the effect was clear. But now I finally saw it, which was like the first time I really realized it was when she was walking out of the school with her box or whatever, and then the mom honks like, "Hey, Kayla, yellow shirt." And she walks over, and then this mom is rambling or whatever. And I didn't notice, I feel like I didn't notice the first time when I watched the movie because you're just in it, you know, you're in the world. But this time I really try to look for stuff. And I noticed that the girl was, the pretty girl, whatever, the popular girl was in the passenger seat and mom was in the driver's seat. And you see Kayla clearly because she's in focus. But when it cuts to the other shot and it shows the popular girl and the mother is never in focus. All you see is the popular girl.
Yeah.
Even though this mother is like literally trying to get in frame, you know, doing her performance. And this girl is just looking down. And it makes you feel like what Kayla's feeling. Like, I don't belong here. And then every other scene where she's interacting with anyone, the focus is never on what's happening. It's on the person that reflects her mood the most.
Yes.
And that was just fucking fascinating. That's one scene. There's basically every fucking scene in the movie was like that. Yeah. And then the way he racks focus was very interesting, which is where you have focus on one object and it goes to another object. There was multiple scenes where that happened to like an emotional design. And that was fucking awesome that I didn't realize the first time either.
That was awesome.
And then just the composition was also amazing that I didn't realize. I realized it, but I didn't really know the specifics of it. And now seeing it this second time, it's just so amazing how he used the framing to also evoke emotions from the perspective of Kayla without being in her point of view. Like, all the shots were never on tripods. And I thought they were on tripods the first time I saw it, but they weren't. Every time, there's always like a little shake. And it made me realize that every shot was handheld. But it wasn't on like a purposeful shake. It was just the natural shake of a person holding the camera. And it's so slight that you don't notice it. But watching it the second time, I realized how that made me feel like this was more real than it was. Because if it was on tripod or on sticks, it would feel like First Reformed.
Too smooth.
Yeah, where you're separated from it, you know? But this film, you're like kind of there, and it doesn't feel like documentarian or whatever, or documentary, but it just, I don't know, it has this like slight reality to it, which is a very cool choice they made as well. And then the use of motion, the zoom ins and the zoom outs were fucking, God, so fucking genius. Like the way the film starts.
Oh, I was gonna say, just from the start, she's so
blurry,
close to the frame, like the edge frame, and then it eventually pulls out to where it shows her basically closing her laptop. Yeah. And you see the whole laptop, her whole setup and everything.
That's brilliant. But also, like, even a scene that's just not that big of a scene, which was just the school composer, the music teacher, it starts on his ponytail and then just zooms out to show everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other shots, they're all like, you see someone, but they're always like off. You know, they're never like perfectly centered. They're always off
Looking
angle.
away.
Yeah, they're never like, their eyes are never with the screen. And then I noticed a lot of compositions this time around where her face is always blocked, or like she's doing something that for her is, you know, improving herself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then the frame tells you that she's hiding. So like there was multiple scenes of her doing her videos. The laptop would cover half her face.
Yeah.
And it feels like she's talking, but at the same time she's not going the extra step and truly believing in herself or whatever. And just those compositions always helped sell that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then my other favorite shot of this film, which was the phone call that she has with her new best friend, and she's so like fucking nervous talking to her because she's like, man, I hope I don't fuck this up because I just made my first best friend or whatever. And then the way the camera just, I think that's like probably one of the only shots, well, it's probably not on sticks, so it's probably handheld, but it just pans left to right, and you're just watching her just walk back and forth and back, and like, it's so interesting because I've done that before where I get so nervous and I'm like, fuck, what am I going to say, or like, what am I going to do, like,
what is that motion called when you walk back and forth?
Pacing.
Yeah,
and where she's pacing, and it's like just the pacing, the idea of, you know, tracking someone, you're still and you're just following, and that's already awesome. Idea. Execution was perfect. But I don't know if they did this by design or if it was just by chance or they just came across it. But the thing that really like makes that scene so disorienting and like claustrophobic but also dizzying is this giant window that she has in her room that's just super blown out. Like it's super bright and everything else is like dark. And then you're focused on her, so blurring that out makes it look like a spot beam. And every time it passed that light, like it makes you fucking dizzy. Like I don't know, there's probably like some scientific shit reasoning behind, you know, going from dark to light and how that motion just makes you feel nauseous. But watching that scene again, I was like even more nauseous the second time.
Yes.
And it's just, that's so fucking brilliant, like making a visual also represent her state and making you feel what she feels by making you dizzy. And I love how that whole scene was played out like that. There was another part where it like zoomed into her hand while she's holding the phone, but that was just fucking genius. Like damn, I love the one shot where she pulls up to the house and she's going in for the first time because they're gonna do the swimming thing. I love that whole motion following her in. I love the scene of her in the bathroom basically having a panic attack. That was fucking brilliant. The sound design in there was great because you could hear her breathing and it sounded like she was about to just fucking like vomit or whatever. And then it just cuts off, goes to silent, you see the door open and she walks out. And then the music cuts in again or whatever.
Yeah.
So directing and cinematography wise, that was fucking amazing. All those things and probably more that I'm not remembering. And then last thing I wanted to talk about was the writing. We already talked about how much research he did and how he, you know, really layered the idea of like social dynamics in high school and all this stuff. But the main thing of the story is about like self-growth. And I remember when we first watched this movie, we were both still in, well, we still are, but at the time we were still like in this stage of like trying to grow and like trying to better ourselves, and just seeing an 8th grade girl or seeing a story about an 8th grade girl trying to improve herself on just basic values like being confident and like putting yourself out there and like being you, like trying to be you and not letting other forces manipulate you, whether they're good or bad, and all the other things she talks about in her YouTube videos. It almost feels like it was written, well, he's talked about how he wrote it for himself as a personal type of thing because he was just confused where he was going to go next in his life. And it just feels, I don't know, it just feels so like intimate and personal for someone who is like constantly trying to better themselves. Seeing a young girl try to better themselves makes it like relatable and real. But also seeing the struggles of that, like you can say all day, tomorrow I'm going to write 200 pages, I'm going to do my shit, you know, I'm going to knock out all my goals. I'm going to
wake up and you don't feel it.
Yeah, and then
it's
like
hard to actually stay on track of
Yeah, one bad thing happens, challenges you, and you just fucking your legs break and you face plant into rocks. You know, like it feels like the world's over or whatever.
Mm.
And seeing that feeling represented in something so small, it makes you rethink about your problems as well. Because you see her and it's like, well, that's not that big of a deal. It's just high school.
Yeah.
All right, what was I saying?
I don't know.
I was saying.
The final thing.
I was
Last thing you were
saying.
gonna say.
How you can think
Oh,
about
yes.
your problems.
Yes, seeing someone else's problem, like Kayla's 8th grade problems at such a heightened level.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing anyone that's suffering through growth,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's what you think is a higher level than you or a lower level, is just reaffirming seeing someone else suffering through the same thing that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it kind of like refocuses or realigns if the thing that is bothering you or the thing that's blocking you from your goal or the thing stopping you, is it really
that big of a deal?
Is it really big enough to stop you, or is it just a social thing created around you, you know? So,
yeah.
Just the whole script was so perfect. The way it's written, all that stuff, like one of my favorite scripts of 2018.
What would you give this film?
Oh, well, hold on. I have one last thing I want to talk about.
What the?
You just said that was the last.
But I just remembered.
What?
I forgot the key thing. We haven't even talked about it.
Okay.
This is something we haven't talked about.
Go ahead.
I thought the lead actress, Elsie Fisher, who plays Kayla, the first time I thought she did great and it was a great performance or whatever. But seeing the film the second time made me even appreciate her performance even more.
Mm.
Like, it was such a great performance of, like, truly nailing how someone who is nervous and shy feels like in a scenario. Like, the perfect definition is the scene where they're all at the table and she's wanting to talk the whole time. And the director says this a lot, that for him, shyness isn't being quiet. It's wanting to say something and then you say something and it's not accepted or it's thrown down, or you say something and no one's listening.
Yeah.
And then that makes you withdraw more. You know, it's like, I noticed that a lot, like, you know, how sometimes Dylan will try to add a joke and maybe we don't laugh at it, and then he instantly shuts down.
And he's like, why are you guys angry? Okay, it's not even good.
Yeah.
And then, well, the thing with Dylan is that later he ends up stepping his volume to, like, max. He basically screaming out of his lungs. So maybe this time they'll listen, and then we still kind of...
Yeah.
Because, never mind, keep going.
But what I'm just trying to say is that there's so many different levels of someone who's shy or someone who's nervous, and it's really interesting seeing this performance tackle a very specific version of shyness, which she is a very outgoing girl. Like, she wants to talk a lot, and, like, it's obvious when she's on the phone and she can't shut up and she's, like, talking, you know, like, rambling like I'm doing. But at the same time, there is other people who, you know, who display their shyness in different ways. And it's just interesting because most people, when they, Anthony's shy, the first thing people think about, he doesn't talk. But it's like, I feel like shyness is such a bigger thing, and it's so cool having her performance show a whole different perspective of what shyness could be for someone.
Oh, yes.
So, but her performance was amazing. Like, all her scenes where she was supposed to nail a certain emotion, she nailed it every time. Her annoyance with the dad was just perfect every time. The way she mumbled and talked and acted scared and acted sad, all that stuff was great. I think she should be nominated for Best Actress.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
What would you rate the movie?
Because also in real life, she is, like, super outgoing. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, she is, like, super outgoing. Like, she does not act like that. And that's such a fucking awesome thing, seeing not only any actor, you know, like we watch like Lady Bird, and then you watch an interview and you're like, what the fuck? That's not Lady Bird. You know, you just automatically think like, oh, they're probably kind of acting like themselves. But seeing someone not be them at all, that's a fucking performance, you know? That fucking chameleon likeness.
Oh yeah.
And you just assume because she's young, oh, they probably found a shy girl, but like, no.
There's that talent.
Yeah, that's a performance, and I hope people acknowledge her talents and she gets a career. It's really interesting because she got the movie, or she got the role in the movie, and then she tried to do a theater thing in her high school, and then the theater teacher didn't give her the role.
What?
Yeah, like the theater teacher was like, no, you're not that good at acting.
Dick.
Yet she's in
Probably
a fucking
had a
movie, you know?
ponytail.
Yeah. But it's funny
Music
because
teacher.
Bo Burnham had an interview where he talked about it, and then he looked at the camera and he's like, hey, Mr. I forgot his name, like Mr. Stevens, go fuck yourself. And then it was on like Jimmy Kimmel. And then they started laughing. He's like, is that real? I was like, yeah, I promised the actress that I would tell the teacher to go fuck himself because he didn't give her the lead role in the play, in their high school play.
Wow.
And they were like, oh, she's off to better things. Like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what I do? I gotta call out teachers on their bullshit.
That's amazing.
Yeah. All right, that's all I gotta say.
What's your score?
Obviously, I think this film is a masterpiece, which is a 10 out of 10. That doesn't mean a perfect film. It just means that what this film wanted to be, it became in every single fucking aspect. Score, cinematography, direction, sound design, visual. I already said cinematography. The performances, set design, costume design,
Yes.
editing,
Yes.
masterpiece. That's all I gotta say.
All right. What'd you give
Facts.
it, Jack?
I want to hear y'all's first.
Okay. Well, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Which is, what is the word for your 9 out of 10?
Well, 9 out of 10 for me is it's like
Amazing.
I
Lit
don't know, just 9 out of 10. I guess.
Okay.
means LeBron
9
James.
out of 10.
Okay.
Gucci.
What about you, Jack? You're up. Give the score.
Nah, I want to hear yours.
So these people can
He
go home.
already
I already said mine, bro.
What was it?
He said
10
10
out of 10. It's a
10 out of
masterpiece.
10.
Yeah. Which I said, not a perfect film.
Let the people know, Jack. Get close.
Yeah, you gotta aspirate.
After hearing everything that Anthony had to say and what Chet had to say, just both of them they didn't talk about the same thing. Y'all kind of just talked about certain things that you noticed, and then looking back at it, I'm like, oh shit, that's so true. Like the scene where she's laying on her bed, and I'm like, oh shit, dude, that was actually like, there was multiple like shots, but they would like fade through each other.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was dope as shit. Just that I didn't notice. I was like, all right, cool.
And I've never seen that.
I've never seen
like.
that either.
Whoa, he's not
I'm
done.
sorry.
Nah, dude. and then Che also hitting facts. I was like, okay, this was a pretty good movie. And then hearing all this, I'm like, dude, this is like fucking great. Now that I've noticed all these things, and I actually see all this shit constantly, and I don't see movies like this
Yes.
at all.
Yes.
Like at all. This is the first ever movie I've ever seen like this. That's actually bomb as fuck. I would.
So what would you give it?
A 10 out of 10.
What?
A 10 out of 10.
He's
10 out of 10?
join.
Yeah.
He is officially
It's not even
a cinephile. Oh my god.
slight. It's a 10 out of 10.
He's a gweed.
Jack has reached level 10. He understands cinema. Chelsea, she's not there yet. Jack, he understands.
Oh yeah.
Hearing you guys explain it more makes me understand it. Without just me watching the movie, I pick up a couple things, but I never look into like camera shots. Like I didn't even notice it was all handheld,
Yeah.
which you did. I just thought like it was just normal shit. They just stuck it on a tripod and just kind of like moved it like one on wheels or whatever.
Yeah.
You actually noticed shaking.
Yeah, I didn't
Like
notice that.
I
either.
didn't notice that. Which I was
Anthony's
like,
a professional.
oh shit, dude. I guess since he's watched it twice.
Yeah.
He was able to.
I've
Dude.
watched it twice too, and I didn't notice anything.
I think you were just
like
looking
that.
for like the same things you looked at the first one. Anthony.
Oh, no,
went,
I
like,
was-
deep as hell.
No, because when I give a movie a 10 out of 10, the first time I give a movie a 10 out of 10,
It's like an onion.
I look forward to that next time I watch it. Because I'm just like, give me a reason
For it
to
not
bump
be.
you down to 9.9, boy.
Whoa.
Give me that flaw.
And this movie didn't do that.
No, it didn't.
Oh, that's awesome.
I need a rewatch.
I don't actually do that, but I do like. I want to find out why. Like the first, like every time I watch a movie, first go, I don't think about shit. I'm just like, whatever this is about to play is about to play. If this shit is funny, I'ma laugh.
Mhm.
If it's angry, I'ma get angry. You know, like I try not to like
Think
put
about
what I want the movie to be. It's just whatever it is, and then I'm gonna judge it, or I'm gonna experience it how it wishes to be experienced. You know.
That's me too.
Should have watched.
But
it
the
before
second
we-
time watching it, now knowing that it had such a positive effect on me, I'm like, I need to figure out exactly what this mode did. So when I'm shooting my short film, I'm like, wait, why are we on a tripod? Does that even matter to, like, this film isn't
the
even,
end result?
yeah, like, aren't we supposed to be feeling close to this person?
Mhm.
Like, all right, let's put it handheld. Let's get closer. Let's get further. What does she see out of her eyes? Let's go in her perspective. What does this mode see? You know, like, why are we in the car? Are we in the car to make them feel uncomfortable? Like, just any shot, every shot, like, if you just move the camera one bit, the whole movie would feel different.
Yes.
Man,
And it's just it's fucking awesome.
hell
And I'm happy you learned shit, and now it's done, dude. If this was the first time you feel like that, every movie you watch now, you're either gonna hate them because you see like this is some basic ass shit, or now when you watch a movie like this, or even better than this, which there's tons better than this as well, like you'll be like, fuck,
Damn.
like how the fuck did
Transformers.
John Cena.
that? But yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, but
Hell
hopefully
yeah.
someone else in the world has learned something. This is like the whole reason I wanted to make Cineverm was to talk about 10 out of 10 movies.
The whole reason why I wanted to do Cineverm was because I talk slow. And I wanted to learn how to debate. Also, learn why I like certain things and be able to stand by it.
And you have interesting conversations. Like the whole psychology talk, we would have never had that conversation.
Mm.
The whole sex addict talk, never had that conversation.
Hell.
The shit, awesome.
The Jack, how he talked about his friend who was on his phone watching porn.
Yeah.
Like, we never would have talked about that either.
We told Jack why he's an alpha. Boom.
Wait, I'm an alpha.
Fuck.
When you...
You gotta listen to this again
I
on
will.
Spotify.
I am, dude. I'm gonna share it and shit. I'm
Oh,
gonna
shit.
pull up. I'm gonna pull up to I'm gonna hand out flyers. and
Oh
shit.
wait,
At
do
school?
you want me to cut out some of the parts where you like were talking about some of your friends smoking weed and you said their first name?
You did?
I didn't.
No,
you
he
said
didn't.
one person's first name.
No.
I said Alex.
Yeah.
Because Alex ended up smoking weed. I think
Well, I don't think his parents are gonna
Yeah,
listen
you're
to
right. You didn't say their
Cineverm.
last name. What was his? I'm just kidding.
What's his social? What?
That's what I fucking do every time. Chelsea will like not spoil, but kind of hint at a spoiler, and then I'm like, "Oh, you mean when they died at the end? That's totally a spoiler."
Like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Editing the audio makes me realize my faults as a human.
why.
You
the
just
fuck
get
am I
really
alive?
excited.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
I hate it when I get excited. That's why I was like,
Yeah, I don't like
when
What do you mean you hate when you get excited?
no, well
because
because
I do dumb shit when I get excited. Like I just start saying dumb shit. Like I get really excited and I'm like, oh my oh my god, like I could start flipping my
Start
shit.
spazzing.
Where are we still recording?
Yes.
Hey guys, what up?
Go. What were you gonna say?
Oh, that I hate getting excited because then I feel like I'm not talking like cohesively,
Wait.
and then like because I'm thinking faster than I can talk, so I'm like wanting to say the next thing, and then I like stumble over my words, and
because you're not done with your first thought.
Yeah, and I mispronunciate
Same,
shit
except I talk
all
really
the
slow.
fucking time, and I hate mispronouncing words. I don't know why I keep doing it. Ever since I was little, I feel like it's when I wanted to talk and it mattered, I would say, like, y'all have heard me, like, say some shit just wrong, and then it makes no sense.
Yes.
Like, I would I can't even replicate it, but some word that isn't even big, I'll, like, say it so fucking wrong that everyone just laughs, and I'm like...
Cut it out, print it out.
Yeah. Yeah, like that shit.
No, that
Especially
was
when
you
you're
were
tired.
dead, dude. That was when you were knocked out, asleep.
Yeah. Well,
I don't really notice that you like misspeak.
yeah.
Because you're usually dropping facts and shit on me that I don't even know anything about.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I feel like half the shit I say is stupid. Like, I was listening to the Glass review, and I was like,
What
I
the
thought I
fuck am
had such
doing?
a, like, strong statement about that critic that I hated.
Mm-hmm.
But listening back, I barely said anything
Yeah.
that was, like, anything that was cohesive,
Mm-hmm.
and that was actually structured, and I was talking shit about him because he did something unstructured, and I was like, fuck, dude, my one chance to attack this motherfucker, and all I said was...
Fuck him.
Yeah, he licks his lips, like, and I'm like, damn it, man, like, it's like two ignorant people fucking slapping each other with spaghetti.
Slapping each other in the thighs.
But, you know, whatever.
So, what's up, Percy?
I'm sure I'll have a second chance at redeeming myself. Round 2, boy.
Well, I think we should wrap it up and, you know.
This. Wait, what is he? A director?
That was a critic.
Oh, this critic comes back and just diss tracks and just
We're gonna
hardcore
go diss track each other.
Cineverm V, whatever the fuck his name is.
Hell yeah.
Fuck him.
Dude, that would make us so famous because he works for like Rolling
Diss
Stone
track
or
on
something.
my YouTube channel, and then then Dylan's gonna be like, fuck him, and then diss track on Dylan is chilling.
It just spirals to the whole gang.
Hell yeah, to the whole squad.
Shit.
But since we only have like $20, we can't really shoot a diss track.
But we started GoFundMe, so all our supporters,
Our
out there,
one supporter-
our millions,
Our
million
one
of
supporter
supporters.
mom.
Fuck.
it's like,
No, now we got 2. Dad just subscribed. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, and Ducky just subscribed. We
Damn.
subscribe to each other's channel, so we have
Boom.
what, 4
Yeah.
I have
subscribers?
0, so
What? You already created your channel?
yeah, I've had one.
a YouTube channel?
Yes, I've had.
I'm about to
Oh,
subscribe.
plug
to
it in,
that.
bro.
Posted 8.
Plug it in.
What's
What is
your-
it?
Yeah,
Nah,
plug
I'm
it
just
in.
playing. I made it, but there's no video on it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
shout it out when I have like videos on it.
Yeah.
I'm
Alright.
not gonna shout it out just so y'all
People
can look
go
at my
to-
profile
Shout out to
pic.
the future when I do the thing. man.
Hell yeah.
366, what up?
360.
Crimson Moon, what up?
Yeah.
Alright, Chelsea's calling.
Probably not gonna finish it because I'm only at chapter 1, boys.
Alright, thanks for listening to Cineverm.
Yes.
Go, Yeah.
Subscribe.
yeah, watch our other shit.
Good shit.
Mm.
Fuck them.
Gucci!
That was the gayest.